You know, somehow this series, this season keeps one-upping itself with each episode. And here we are, the penultimate episode of Snowfall. And boy, is it a doozy. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. My goodness. You know, it's a testament to the writing of a show when you think, hey, this is what the show's got to do, or this is what we got to do for these final episodes to close things up. And you feel like, hey, I know how this is going to end. They have done such a masterful job this season where it's getting harder. I still feel like I'm behind every bit. And I'm like, oh, I don't quite know where this is going. And I still don't know it. Even with watching and seeing this penultimate episode, this finale, I don't know what the hell they're going to give us. But I am excited to see what it is. This episode is called Sacrifice. It is the 9th episode and penultimate, the word that everybody uses. It's the episode before the finale. And a lot takes place in this episode. Only 2 days occur. It's a small amount of time, but man, there is a lot that occurs in this. There's a lot of emotional weight, a lot of just dramatic scenes that sort of just tell a catharsis for both Franklin and Teddy and some other characters as well. We start off though with Louie. Louie is still still hustling, still getting her drug stuff on. And she's coming down the steps after making a shipment. She gets a page. And the page, she runs up, she gets a page, it's from Franklin. Franklin's telling her, look, they're watching you. They're watching you now. They know everything about you. You should run. It's a little late at that point, but because they're already seizing and absconding upon her property. But she makes a run. She gets out of there and she just starts booking it. She's booking it down the hallway now. She's in a white jumpsuit, so I don't know. I don't know how far you can get at nighttime in a white jumpsuit, but bless her heart, she's giving it a shot. Franklin and Gustavo take Teddy to a basement, and they chain him up to a chair. Teddy starts waving around the threat of the alphabet boys, the FBI, CIA. You mess with me, you know what's going to happen. And normally, Franklin says, he's like, normally I'd be afraid of that. But I know they discarded your ass a long time ago, so you don't have that protection anymore. And that's when Teddy realizes, like, oh crap, he knows. And at the same time, then realizes that Gustavo knows too. And kind of like, ah, crap. I've kind of lost the leverage I've had over both of them, but specifically Franklin. But both, that's why Gustavo was able to and willing to go towards Franklin's side in this. It's at this point that you start seeing the season. We've seen it all throughout the season. This season has been a lot about showing how Franklin has become a monster. And people sometimes have even just outright stated, like, you're in a monster. You get a version of it here where you're an animal. Like, he has gone off to the deep end, and there's really nothing that can sort of reset him back to normal. Possibly. But in this, he tells Teddy that, hey, the bank's open in the morning. And when they open in the morning, I'm going to need you to give them whatever passcode, whatever numbers you have to give them so we can get my money back to me. And if you don't do so, I'm going to take this gun and I'm going to blast your brains all over the wall. And Teddy's like, you got to be sensible here. If I'm gone, you're not going to get any numbers. And at that point, Franklin lets him know, like, sensibility has left. Sensibility has long left the building. And it's done in such a wild way. He says he puts a hood over him. He kind of comes in, he's like, sensibility is gone, motherfucker. Like, it's gone. We own something new now. We got something whole new here now. And which just shows you the weight of, one, the power dynamic has changed. When we first saw the two of them together in the very first couple episodes, Teddy was the superior over Franklin, and now it is reversed. Franklin is the superior over Teddy, but he's got him pretty much balls to the walls. The one thing that I wasn't sure about last episode, and it kind of got rectified really quickly here, is I didn't think that Gustavo had killed Ruben. I knew he bashed his head in, but I think he was just unconscious. Ruben's still alive, so they actually have him captured as well. So they put him in the chain seat as well and hoodie him, and then for a minute there, they put him in the same room, which I just think is a terrible idea. Sissy then calls him out on that being a terrible idea, but it is all sort of a plan. Lee's going to move Ruben to another room and have Teddy in one room by himself, as Franklin takes Oso out to keep the promise that he made to him. And so he's basically taking them across the borders in this plane, sort of dropping them off and just saying, "Hey, go be what you want to be." And he asks him, "What are you going to do?" And he's like, "Hey, I don't know. I can be whatever I want to be. I'm changing new characters." But man, frankly, asked him, "You going to go wrestle?" Like, nah, who knows? That was my old life. But he kind of just waves at him. But he does request Franklin do the one thing that he's sort of, in addition to the promise of getting him over to opposite country, says, "Hey, look, make sure you kill Teddy because I don't want him coming after me." Franklin's like, "Say less. I got you." Gets on the plane. He comes back. While on the run, Louis calls Buck, and Buckley goes to pick him up. Buckley is always thinking about himself. He's not going to pick her up without having sort of an end game for himself in this. And while he picks her up, he's like, "Look, you got a safe house, you got some money." He kind of is asking questions like, "You going to take care of me if I'm doing this for you? You get me jammed up. What you got for me?" And for the first time, Buckley feels like he is in a position of power to kind of like, "I can make the rules. I can set what I'm going to do. You and Jerome overlorded over me for so long. Now I'm going to do it for you." But Louis is still, while she does seem weakened, she is still pretty calculated in this. She lets him know, like, "Yeah, I got a stash house and a home with about $1 million worth of cash there. You can take me there. We can make this happen." Buck is like, "Cool, I can do that for you. You're gonna have to give me half of that." And she's like, "All right, bet. I'll give you half of that." Somewhere on this trip, Buckley feels like it's a good idea to, like, "Yo, I need to, I'm jonesing. Drug junkie's going junkie." And he pulls over and he has to take a hit. When he's taking that hit, he leaves his gun stupidly in the car with Louis. Louis comes out with the gun and kind of checks him, and it's like, "Hey, let me see your pager." Now remember, a couple episodes ago, she asked Buck at the funeral, "Hey, did Jerome try to page you to come help?" He's like, "Nah, he didn't." Just straight face, didn't think about it, didn't hesitate. He's like, "Nope, he didn't." She looks through the pager, sees the number, sees that he tried to call, and she calls him out on it, like, "You were lying. You're a piece of, you know what? You're a liar." But she doesn't kill him. She leaves him there, but she wants the keys to the car. So she gets the keys to the car, and then she drives off. So at that point, the Buckley sort of realizes that there was never a house or money. She kind of just played him to sort of get him a far away enough out of the city, but there was never an end game for him that he would get the one up on her. She was still the benefactor of that. So Louis takes the car, and then she's off. And we don't see any more of Louis for this episode. Before Franklin comes back the next day, Sissy and Lee are left at the basement to sort of separate Ruben and Teddy. And while that is happening, Sissy has a convo with both. But Sissy starts a conversation with Ruben. In the convo with Ruben, she kind of lets him know, like, you lied to me. You used the pain that I had to try to get into this, and you bucked the system. And she asks him, like, what makes you think that I'm going to stop my son from doing anything with you? At that point, Ruben tells him, like, "Hey, look, the KGB had a bunch of tapes on Franklin. Everything that he said, I had recorded with the tape recorder in the back, and they have those. And if they don't hear from me within a certain amount of time, when those are going to get leaked to the international press, and your life, your family's life, everything is going to be ruined as you know it." And she takes that to heart, and she kind of feels a way about it, and she lets Lee know. It's like, "Well, what do you want to do about it?" It's like, "I don't know." So then at that point, she goes to talk to Teddy. And so at that point, she asks Teddy what he did with Alden. And he asks, does he have any remorse or sadness for what he has done to the Black community, for putting drugs in the community and all this stuff? And Teddy gets a little defensive and throws it back at her, like, "Look, I'm not the one taking them, telling them to take these drugs. I'm not the one out here doing this. That's their choice to take these drugs." It's like, it ain't on me that they don't have the self-respect to know not to take this and whatnot. This ain't happening here and here. He gets real defensive and kind of throws it back at her. So at that point, she's about to put the hoodie back on him, and he whispers to her, like, "Alden's still alive." He also asks her, does she want to see them? So it just puts a little seed of doubt in her head and gives her some things that she might want to have a conversation with Franklin about to sort of get under the hood and rectify the situation before, anything too drastic occurs. But in that moment, she calls him a liar and puts the hood back on, and then she goes to talk to Lee. Lee overheard it, so he kind of knows what's going on already. So this is where we get a lot of our one-on-one with Franklin and Teddy. And this is where the episode, for me, I already thought the episode was good too, but this is where the episode really takes off. Writing-wise, it gets insane from this point on. At this point, Sissy has already relayed the information. We don't see it happen, but Sissy's already relayed the information that she's gotten from both Ruben and Teddy to him. So he is aware that he told her that Alton was alive. Franklin's like, I don't give a damn if Alton's alive. I don't care if he's dead, alive. None of that matters to me. Where the hell is my money? All he cares about is his money. He is steadfast in that. Be damned of mom, dad, like my money. Give me my money. So he has a very one-track mind about all of this. And then Teddy kind of lets him know, like, I didn't memorize the numbers. I don't know them offhand. Frank's like, all right, cool. We're going to keep playing these games. So he begins to play Russian roulette with him. And it's intense. So much so that Teddy believes that he's playing with him. He's like, nah, you wouldn't do this. What good would it be if you killed me? And he shoots a blank and he shoots him in the air. He's like, oh, you got blanks. And he shoots him in the air. And he's like, he realizes that it's a live round. He's like, oh crap, you're nuts. He's like, no, I may not have my money if I kill you, but I have the satisfaction of knowing that I murdered you. And that's good for me. Which Teddy didn't realize, oh, you were something different. You were off your rocker. After showing that there wasn't a blank, he then loads another bullet up and is about to play another round with roulette with Teddy, but Sissy and Lee sort of stop him and they have a discussion. It's at this point that Sissy tries to talk him out of it and says, like, we should stand down. I think we've done enough. We've gotten as far as we want. We can. This money has changed you. You've become something different because of this money. And I think it might be best if we just let that go. We go overseas, we go somewhere else, we go get away. For her and her brain, she probably was like, we go find your dad and then we kind of just live our life. But this obsession for money has turned you. You are no longer my son. You're now this evil man who's willing to do whatever you have to do to get your money back. Frank was like, it's too late for all that. Like, they want to get dirty all the time. We're getting dirty now. I need to get my money back. And Lee pulls him to the side and it's kind of like, look, real talk, I'll follow you to do whatever you want to. I'm your right hand. I'll do whatever it is. I believe in you. Whatever you say you want to do, we're going to do it. But I'm going to say this. The path that you're going down, if you continue down this road, I don't know if you're going to be capable of getting yourself back out of that darkness. Whatever pain, anger, and hate road you go down to, that might just be you. And it may not be a way to get you out of that. And it's a dangerous path. And I don't think this is something that you want to go through. Franklin ain't hearing none of that bull. He ain't got time for none of that. He's like, nope, cool. Y'all both crazy. I'm gonna go get some sleep real quick. And I'm gonna come back and we're gonna keep this game going because I'm gonna get my money back. So he goes with a little shut eye. And then when he wakes up, V is coming up the steps and he pulls a gun on V. And V's like, Franklin, what is happening? She's like, I'm sorry, babe. I don't know if I'm sorry, babe, was good enough for you to be pulling a gun on me if I'm coming home with some groceries. But they talk it out, and V lets him know that, hey, the mortgage for the downtown property just bounced. First time they've ever bounced a check, and I managed to finagle a little bit to be like, hey, this didn't happen. There was a mishap at the bank. But we're not going to get any more second chances. And if they start smelling blood in the water that we're not going to be able to afford this property, it's going to look bad on us, and we're not going to be able to keep this. So what's going on with this money? We need to go make this happen. It's at this point that we realize that as poisoned as Franklin has become, the other poison that has sort of gotten to this, V is about that life too. We were under the impression that V wasn't built for this life. But after she saw how Franklin handled Teddy's father, I think we started to realize that no, V might just be as ruthless and calculated as Franklin is. They might be two peas in a pod and might be meant for each other. And she gives him the bright idea to start using corn oil and burning Teddy with grease fire. Cold-blooded. And so she meets Teddy for the first time. She introduces like, hey, I'm Veronique. You may not know me, blah, 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 and go on. And she goes on to this whole soliloquy about her family and grease fires. Teddy knows what she's getting at. And Teddy kind of flippantly was like, oh, she seems nice. It's the only probably levity moment that you kind of have in this episode. And the way he reads that is perfect. But boy, do things turn there for him. Because to get an answer, he's still refusing to give the numbers. Franklin does start cooking up the cooking oil and grease and then just pouring it directly on Teddy. And you just hear him screaming in agony. Jesus, Franklin. I know Louis said a few episodes you were an animal. I think it might be a little bit more than that. Parissa goes to the office where for Teddy, and Steven's there, and is like, "Have you heard from him?" And she's like, "Nope, I haven't seen him since yesterday morning. We were talking about Franklin." And so they're kind of both at odds, and they have no clue where Teddy is. So then we pick up back with Teddy, and we see that Franklin has done a number on him. His entire chest is raw, greased, red, burned up, blood, pus, blood. It is a mess, Franklin, and he has no remorse for it. He's just out here doing it, and you get a lot of intense shots of it overhead, right above his chest, with Franklin above him. The power struggle has changed, and what was once being tased, he's amplified that times 10. And there's really, I don't see how there's any kind of coming back from this. At this point, after a little bit, Franklin sits down and just wants to have a one-on-one with him, and Teddy just says, "You are an animal." It's the second time we've heard that. And Franklin says, "You are what I am, what you made me. You made me this." It's in that point where he starts going back a little bit to the Franklin that was the young kid that Teddy first met. And he asks him, like, "Why did you do this to me? Like, why did you leave me with nothing? Um, I had your back for everything. I was your right hand. I wanted to do everything with you. I felt like we could be friends. I felt like we were going to grow up together. We had barbecues together. I felt like you were my number one, and we were going to be each other's BFs for friends. I don't know why I was that naive. I felt like that's how close we were." And he's like, "And why did you do this to me? Like, and you can say that like because it's the assets of the money and all this stuff, but like the CIA has tons of money. Like, I don't understand. You got to give me a reason as to why you did this to me." That's when Teddy says, "Because it's not your effing money. I made you. I own you. Like everything that you have, you have it because of me. I allowed you to have it. It's my money. It's my operation. You owe everything you have or had to me." That's when Franklin said, "All right, cool. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting to it a little bit." And it's getting a little bit underneath the bravado that both men have had about this situation. Because then Franklin follows up with like, "Well, did you ever think that I wouldn't try to come back to get my money?" Which Teddy responds, "Well, I thought I'd live with the consequences." And Franklin's like, "Well, and here we are. And these are the consequences." It is then that where Franklin says, like, "You never respected me. And that's kind of on me as a partner. And the fact that you cleaned me out completely, the fact that you took all 73 million of it lets me know that you didn't respect me. Because even if you just took it all and left me with 5 million, at least then I would have been like, I would have still wanted my money, but I wouldn't have come at you with this fervor. I would have been like, all right, he's still respecting me. He's like, all right, job well done, little man. Appreciate you. Here's 5 million for your troubles. Go off and kick rocks." But you treated me like I was nothing. You just emptied me out. I was like, you don't matter to me. Why did I mean so little to you when you had so much value to me? Like, how did we get here? How did you make it feel like I was nothing to you? Franklin does have a couple of cool lines here. He's like, in most stories like this, the person that looks like you gets away with it. Well, and he uses the N-word, and it's the perfect placement of the N-word. He's basically saying, you are now what you think I am. You think I'm just a regular old nigga that you can just go and do whatever you want to? I'm doing that to you now. That's how little of you I think of. And like when I kill you, no, there'll be no Langley, your father, your brother. No one's going to mourn you. You're going to end up here like a blip where nobody thinks of you. You will be completely and totally forgotten. It's at that point that Teddy lets loose that I wanted to hurt you so bad. And Franklin's like, but why? At that point when Teddy's like, because you left me. Something so simple, something so small, at least when it thinks like Franklin wanted to go make the business and do his own things. Like I don't need to do this anymore. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. Like I want to be done with this. I want to live my life. I want to do my stuff with my wife. Teddy took that as like you're shunning him, and the relationship. He probably felt sort of the same way that Franklin felt. It was like, are we going to do barbecues? We're going to do all this stuff together. But when you left him, it sort of gave Teddy that punch, like, this isn't what I thought it was. I'm going to make him hurt as much as I'm hurting. And then, because he doesn't deal good in relationships, his father is abusive. He never really had a relationship to actually have a conversation to talk it out. His response was, I'm going to just take back what I made you. I'm going to just take it all back. And this is what it subsequently led to. It led to this situation where he has an entire burned up chest looking foolish as hell. At that point that Teddy breaks it down. It's like, look, what if we split the 73 half? 37, although 36 and some half, whatever. What if we split that in half? And we each walk away with half and call it a day. And Frank is like, sure. I'm not letting you go until I get that money in my account and everything is approved of. He also is like, well, hold on. How do I believe that you're going to actually do this after all of this? Like, look at you. Like, how do I know you're not going to come back after me? It's at that point that Teddy just says, I've had my fill of you and I. Like, I can't do this anymore. I've had my fill. You could just see somebody who was defeated. Like, this is his options. Like, I don't want to keep going back and forth with this with you. I have something to live for. He doesn't tell him about Parissa, but he's like, I got something to live for. He just got engaged. Like, I don't want to keep doing this back and forth. I'm done. Just take your 37. I'll take my 37. We'll let it all be done. To that point, the Teddy tells him the numbers are in his wallet, and they've been there the whole damn time. Well, damn. I feel like you could have probably done this before you had a grease fire bubbling on your chest. Also, just in the back of my head, Franklin, you kept your end of the bargain with Uso, telling him that, hey, I'm going to let you go. But you're now hedging your bets and saying you're going to allow Teddy to live. I feel like you're doing a bit of a disservice to Gustavo. It feels a little dirty to me. Franklin calls up Teddy's handler, Steven, to let him know, like, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do an exchange. I'm going to do a drop. I'm going to give you Teddy. He's going to give me a 37 mil, and we're going to let bygones be bygones. He then goes to talk to Sissy, and Sissy is furious. Sissy is a lot like I am, where I'm like, hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. You just going to let this dude walk? You've burnt him to holy hell. You've done so much to him. You think that if he's just going to let you walk with 37 million, there's not going to be a day where he just comes back and says, hey, I'm going to kill you, hunt your family down. I'm going to do all of this stuff to you. Now, Sissy was not privy to the conversation that they had, and I genuinely feel that Teddy just feels so defeated. He's like, I'm just done. I just want to go right off into the sunset with my girl and leave. I think he would have been done. Sissy does not believe that. And Sissy's like, nah. You're going to be in danger. My grandkid's going to be in danger. And I don't want this for you. Just give up the money. Let's call it a day. It's at this point that Sissy starts to just ask, like, are you willing to gamble for $37 million on your life? And they're like, yeah, I'm good. At that point, the Sissy's like, okay, cool. Now, I think Sissy's brain the wheels in her head start turning. So Sissy says, I don't want my grandchild and I don't want Lee at this meet. I'll go there and I'll take you with it. And I just want you to know that if this is something that you want to go through with, this is going to be the last time that you and I see each other. And she asks him, are you okay with that? And he's like, yeah, no, all's good in the hood for me. I'm good with that, mama. Which is messed up. You're just willing to drop all relationship to your mama for $37 million. That money has just taken a hold of Franklin. She's like, all right, cool then. What are we going to do? So Sissy drives Teddy and Franklin to the spot. They get out the car. Franklin gets Teddy out and he kind of like zips up his jacket and like tries to make him look like he doesn't have his chest completely wide open and burnt to raw hell. But he's trying to dress him up so that whoever is watching is not noticeably seeing how bad of damage he's done to him. Gets him to the phone with the meat spot, and Steven asks Teddy, like, hey, you good? And Teddy's like, man, just get me the F out of here. Like, just quit playing games. Let's go ahead and do this. So then Teddy gets on the phone and starts making a call to the bank. And he's in the process of getting the transfer to happen. He's about to get the password and do all of this stuff. Steven kind of just is questioning, like, well, how do I know? The rest of this deal was you also bringing Ruben. That was the other piece of the deal, was you bringing Ruben, KGB agent, to this. Where is he at? And Frank's like, I don't know you from a hole in the wall. I don't trust you. I trust Teddy before, and look where that got me. So I definitely don't trust you. As long as this transfer goes through, I'm going to get that person to you. If you don't believe me, you can go to the FBI and I'll make a deal with him. And Steven's like, all right, cool. Do your thing. He's about to make the call, and Sissy reaches out to him and is like, hey, real quick, where's Alton? Like, what prison is he in? And Teddy, in the most dismissive term, he's done. You can tell he's like, I'm done with this. And it's clear that he's like, I said that to you, dumbass, because I wanted to get out of the situation. I was lying. And he tells her straight up, like, I was lying. Alton is dead. I shot him twice and I dumped up his body. He ain't coming back. Get the hell away from me. That's basically what he's like, move. Let me get this money to you so we don't have to be in each other's lives anymore. To that point where I could see the writing on the wall, I knew what was about to happen. It's just still shocking that it took place. Sissy, right when he's about to give the password, and you could see the joy that was happening on Franklin's things. Like the password is, and he knew, like, I've won, I've gotten it. Everything that I needed is happening right here. Sissy takes a gun and shoots Teddy twice. Broad daylight, and kills him. Password can't continue. It's at that point that Steven sort of sneaks out, like, what the hell? And just sneaks off because he can't be, as one of the alphabet boys, he can't be around this scene. It just looks like now a black woman just killed a white dude in the middle of nowhere and nothing's there. Franklin is devastated. He is freaking out. He's trying to grab the phone. He's like, Teddy, say the password. Say the password. The phone ends up disconnected. And he goes to his mom. His mom's like, goodbye, Franklin. And basically like, you should probably run. And he starts dipping out as the police sort of start coming around Sissy. And you end with the police sirens coming and the dial tone of the phone hanging up because the transfer never went through, and Sissy being arrested. Jesus, there's a lot to unpack there. A lot has happened here. I think the biggest thing is Franklin broke his mother's heart so much that she had nothing else to live for. So when he told her that I'm perfectly fine never seeing you again and never having a conversation with you again because I'll get to keep this 37, that showed her how much he valued that relationship with her. Once she got confirmation from Teddy that Alden was officially dead and her son was basically dead to her too, she's like, well, I've got nothing else to live for. I'm going to go ahead and do the deal that I started this whole entire season off with. I'm going to kill Teddy. And she just straight up kills him right there. Her heart was broken because she also knew that that was the last time that she would probably ever see Franklin. Franklin has become a full-on monster. And there's no turning back from him. After burning him and now this with his mom, I don't know. She may hope in her brain that this is sort of the reset, that maybe, hey, if I take the money away from him, like where it's no longer an option for him, maybe this will allow him to sort of go back to being a good person. Or it can drive him more into madness. And I don't know what ramifications he now has to sort of get that money. Like, is he assuming that Parissa may know the codes? Like, I think he's just damned. And now that money is not there, he's going to lose everything. He's going to lose that. He's going to lose V. He's going to lose that the downtown complex. Like, everything is going to start falling apart because he doesn't have the money. And then what does that take him to? Does he become a junkie? Gets high on his own supply? Like, he is going to be so broken because the only thing that he has now left in his life is V and his daughter. And that's enough that what got Sissy and Alton together, that helped them when they were young and in love, and they got them together and through things, but they've been poisoned. Franklin and V have been poisoned by the money so much that I don't know if they're going to be able to live their life normally. I also don't know what ramifications this happens. Like, the deal with the KGB doesn't work with Steven now, so they now just have Ruben hanging out there and no one to trade him with, and they can't just let him go because then they're going to come after him. So it's a lot of balls still circling in the air for this finale that I cannot wait to. I honestly, and I said this at the beginning, this is one of the few times where I have zero idea how this is going to go. But I do love, though that he did not do it on his own accord, I do love that Oso got to ride off into the sunset and got to have Franklin hold up his end of the bargain, even though Franklin was going to let Teddy go ride into the sunset. Since he's like, nah. So I love that this probably was the last time that we saw Oso, and that was sort of, at least somebody got a win out of all of this, because I think this last episode, is going to get grimy, and we're going to lose at least one. I feel like Lee, just because being this bystander, I feel like Lee's been a little too quiet in these last couple episodes, and I feel like to break Wanda, something's going to happen to Lee. But man, Franklin and V, I'm so fascinated to see this spiral that they go on that just ends up in a downward. He's become this monster, and now that the money's no longer there, what does he become then? Good television. It's going to be sad when this goes away. What did you guys think about this penultimate episode of Snowfall called Sacrifice? Leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.